Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
The Blacksmiths of Steinnheimr is a game I saw on Kickstarter, and I was kind of in that groove. I was buying a lot of games, and this one kind of looked like an interesting little quick-playing little puzzle of a worker placement game. And boy, was I in for it, because this game is fantastic, and I don't hear anybody speaking about it. Now, there's nothing in this game that's truly innovative. We've seen all of this before, but that's not a negative. Like, when you do something well, you hit a home run, or you run a big race, or something fantastic, it doesn't always have to be innovative to be wonderful, right? We've seen movies where, like, hey, we've kind of seen that before, but this one is really, really good. For some reason, it just clicks. And that's what I find with Blacksmiths. So it takes that Raiders of the North Sea, where you're going to place a worker out, activate a location, and then take a different worker back, also activating that. I love that. And I'm totally surprised, maybe it's a balancing issue, but I'm totally surprised that we haven't seen that more in games. That's not something that we see a whole lot, and it seems like it works fantastic. It gives you a lot of interesting decisions, but also it's like timing things. Like, I want to pick up first and then lay down. No, you can't. You have to lay down and then pick up. So it's a whole timing issue that goes around the worker placement. There are spots that have been blocked for you. That's part of what worker placement does, but you can take it off. So if it's already there, I can't do it first, but I can always do it second. That balancing act is fantastic and does lead to some interesting decisions and timing things. Where you go, man, I wish I could do that in this order, but I cannot. That is tight. That is tension filled, and that is fun. Really like that. The rest of it is an economy. You're going to be gathering goods, which you can turn in for some lesser victory point type cards. So you don't always have to convert them into a refined good. But if you do turn them into refined good, those will be worth more points. Are the points worth the actions? Well, that depends on your strategy. And there's cards that you can buy with gold, which is another resource you can get, that might make refined goods into victory points better and more profitable for you. But there's also cards that might make it more profitable victory point wise for you not to turn as a refined goods and to go after a certain set. Or you can kind of just hedge your bets and get both and try to maximize points that way. Although I do think in this game, it's always better to hit one hard if you can. Now, people might start buying cards and say, well, he's loading up on that, so I'm going to block that a little bit. And there's only so many you could buy. But there are definite strategies that you can have. That means when you sit down to play, there's not one dominant or even two or three dominant strategies. It's going to be what cards come up, which ones can I buy, which spots are available to me, how do I make this puzzle work? There's not just like hit this, hit this, hit this, hit this, because that won't always be available on your turn. You won't always have the cards that maximize those points or double them or give you extra bonuses for that. And the cards that turn those items into victory points may not be available. So you kind of have to take what you have now. I love that aspect of the game. Now, it's not a world beater. It's not like the game is going to change every time you play, but the different aspects about what is available to me, what cards are available to me, what actions are available to me are going to dictate my decisions, maybe what paths I will go down. People will be racing to finish the same cards that you are to get those victory points, so you have to be more efficient with your resources and efficient with your actions that will lead to the higher victory points in this game. So it's not just a little bit of do everything, I'm going to get points, although that is in this game to some respect. It's more about the efficiency of the actions and definitely the efficiency of the resources. How am I going to turn those in? And there's certain cards that will help you along the way, for scoring wise, and powers, if you will be. This is a fantastic little game. One I haven't heard a lot about. I think a lot of people slept on this one. Maybe it just looks a little bit generic. The artwork doesn't strike you something, wow, I got to play that. This game's really fantastic. It's a hidden gem and one you've likely missed out on. I definitely recommend it. It's a keeper for us. Here is the Blacksmiths of Steinnheimr. Now, this is a really small box. It's not exactly portable, but it's much smaller than what you're normally going to get, and the game packs quite a punch. You're going to get a rule book, which we'll take a look in a few minutes. You're going to get a nice mounted board here. This will really kind of be the worker placement spots for the game, and it will house all of the cards. You can see the market down here. This works out really, really well. The rest of it's going to be these nice little token chits. Now, these are okay. I understand why they went with this, because you have the different on the back of it. on the flip side. But when you take this stuff, you're going to have to be really careful about which side that you're flipping over. That can be a problem. You do have workers that will be on the board. Now, there are no colored workers. Everybody uses the same one as the first player marker. They're only silk screened on one side, which is a little bit of a bummer. They are in red, which is my favorite color, so that worked out well for us. You're going to get a few more little coin tokens here, which these would have been metal or something. Not that great. Now, the cards themselves are okay. You don't really need to worry about them too much. They're a little thin, not too bad for the quality of the game. Now, they'll have this kind of generic artwork on it. It does show the different colors, and you can see the victory points and what's required down here. You're not shuffling these up a whole lot, so the thinness may not bother you. The townspeople are going to have a little bit more esoteric artwork on it. The font is a little small on that. I'll give it that. But we really didn't have any problems when we were playing. The components are pretty good. Here's the rule book. You can see a objective here and a picture of all of the components, which is super handy, and a double page spread, centerfold if you will, of the setup with letters corresponding to where everything should go. Excellent job. You have a gameplay overview. Everything you do in the game is right here, and then I'll break it down into the locations on the board. You can see there's pictures and examples that are thrown in there. Excellent job. End of game scoring and how to end the game. Then we'll reference each card with the items below. That can be a little tricky, I guess, for the first time. And no reference on the back. But the rulebook is very good. 9 out of 10. Didn't really have any issues with this whatsoever. Here's what the game will look like set up. You shuffle up the item deck, the talent deck, the upgrade cards, and you'll put the items up here, the towns here, and the upgrade cards here, and they're clearly sanctioned right there. You're going to put a worker on the furnace, the silver mines, and the market. Everybody playing will get 2 coins to start the game out with, and they will start out with a worker on the board. The game uses a worker placement mechanism like Raiders of the North Sea. You're going to place a worker down on any spot that doesn't already have a worker. You will activate that spot, and you can pick up any worker except for the one you placed, activating that spot also. So let me give you an example here. If I go here, I will activate the gold mine, getting 2 pieces of gold. If I were to pick up the silver, I would also gain 2 pieces of silver. I would place these items into my personal reserve, if you will, or my coordination here, and then I will keep my worker for next turn, and the next player will go. That will continue on until the game ends. Based on the number of players, the game is going to end 2 players if 10 items are built, 3 players if 8 of these items are built, or 4 player if 6 of these items are built. Or the game can end if the town deck runs out, if enough of these are being purchased. So those are the one of the 2 ways that the game can end. During setup, there's also 2 of these objective cards that we'll put out. These will be available to all the players, and you will score points based on these at the end of the game. You'll also gain any points for your town cards and your objective cards and your upgrade cards that score victory points. Resources left over, those can be converted into victory points based on the metrics. So 2 coins is 1, 3 iron is 1, 2 silver is 1, 2 gold is 1, and 1 mithril is 1 victory point. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner of the game. So most of these spots down here at the bottom work the same. Gives you iron, gives you silver, gives you gold, and gives you mithril. The market is going to allow you to exchange items. So if I had 1 mithril, I could gain 2 gold. Or if I had 2 gold, I could gain 1 mithril, and that works for each of these. Iron can be turned into silver, can be turned into gold, can be turned into mithril, just based on the numbers printed on it. That's how the market's going to work. With the furnace, you're going to have these items. You're going to want to get these into these are raw materials. Raw materials are used to buy these right here. So if you see here, I can get 2 blue mithrils that have not been upgraded yet for 5 victory points. That point right here is activated at this spot where I can either gain 3 coins or I can fulfill the requirements on one of these coins, gaining points. If I go to the furnace, though, I can take any one type. Remember, I have gold and I have silver in our example. I take any of one type and flip them over to the finished product side. And now I have these that are finished products. The reason why you're going to want that is because if you go to the anvil space up here, you can trade in your items. In this case, you would get rid of 3 silver and 2 for a total of 5 in order to score 10 victory points. So you'll go up here. So the raw materials can be cashed in here in the town side. Then the finished materials, which are worth a little bit more points, can be turned in for item cards. The only other spot here is going to be the Blacksmiths Guild, which you can get these upgrade cards. And they will all do different things. The number of coins required to pay will be up in the top left corner. In this case, 4. And all items I get are worth 2 additional victory points. So if I were to purchase this card by going here and paying the cost, any item cards I get are worth 2 additional points. This is all jewelry pieces are worth 2 additional pieces. And that was a little bit different. If you look up here in very small print, they have different things. This is armor. This one is a weapon. This one's armor. But there'll be jewelry cards that come out. If you get those, it's worth more points. This guy says all town cards are worth 2 additional victory points. So if you have any of these town cards, he will be a good card to get. And there's all kinds of different cards in the upgrade deck, and the town card deck, and the item deck that will bonus off. So, as a refresher, the main mechanism is going to be placing a card out, activating that spot, then picking up another one off the board and activating that spot also. Whoever has the most victory points is the winner. Who should buy this game? Anybody want a lighter worker placement, fairly straightforward resource management game? If you don't care so much about the look of the game, well, this game doesn't look bad. It just looks drab, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have big giant miniatures. It's a card game with little workers, and the workers look pretty darn good with the little meeples that they used. It's got a dwarf vibe to it, and I feel like that comes through. But it's all about how am I going to be efficient with limited resources. And the resources include your workers, right? They always will. So for me, this is a big hit. I've really enjoyed this game, and I've played the heck out of it. And I highly recommend it to you. Keeper for us.